So,
Hello.
Graham, thank you for talking to me.
No worries.
Thoroughly appreciate it. Can I ask what you're up to today? What are you doing here?
I've just come to just to have a look at the Standing for Women event, which has been kind of marked by counter-protesters coming and causing trouble. Last week I managed to get a viral video of the police walking away while women were being kettled over there. So I thought, just come again and see if it's improved, and it's like 1,000 times better. There's no trouble, and the police are being visible.
There's a massive police presence here compared to last week.
Yeah, and the problem is they still think it's just this weird little row between two equally mad sides.
Right.
Whereas it's actually one mad side and one side that's saying, hang on a sec. There's a reason we have female-only spaces. There's a reason that we don't put children out of safeguarding. It's all perfectly reasonable
Sensible.
and logical stuff, yeah. But it's being cast not only by these activists, but also by places like the BBC, as if these women are extremists.
Right. So how have you found yourself involved? Because
I've been cancelled.
You've been cancelled.
Yeah, for doing this.
For having freedom of thought and expression.
Yeah. I wrote a musical based on my old show Father Ted, and they offered me $200,000 to walk away from it because I was standing up for women's rights. Yeah. I know, it's shocking. It's shocking. Every time I say it, I can't believe it. But yeah, the musical's ready to go. All the songs are written. Neil Hannon did the songs from the Divine Comedy, and they're just perfect. And they're just sitting on it. They're sitting on it because they're scared of their staff who don't like me.
And that's the BBC?
No, that's Hat Trick Productions.
Right, okay.
Which is the production company that did Father Ted originally.
Right, okay.
Because it's like every play. I don't know how much you know about it all, but like every institution, every corporation has a number of people within it who are activists, who are, will do things like complain about me if I bring something to them, and it means you just can't get work.
Do you reckon that problem that stems from universities?
There's definitely a lot of that there. There's a kind of a corruption in American academia, especially. I don't know if you know this concept, idea laundering, where you have academics citing each other's work in their papers, and they're all mad.
That's how academia works, generally, innit?
Yeah, it is. But this particular crowd of academics are insane. There was a kind of a prank played on them. Where do you remember?
James Lindsay and
yes.
Brogo, I can't remember how to say his name. Peter
Boghossian and
it.
Helen Pluckrose, yeah.
Yeah.
And that just exposed the whole thing. So yeah, I think it is coming from university. I think it starts there, but the scary thing is it's continuing on to places that should know better, like the NHS and the police force.
Do you not think that's part and parcel of the multinational conglomerates having it as like for the amount of people that are actually identify as queer or trans, which is like less than 1%, I believe.
Yeah.
Like for the amount of media coverage and exposure they get, you would think it was nigh on 50% of the. Beg your pardon, sorry, Graham.
Don't worry.
Right, where were we?
It's a form of youth. It's a youth movement that doesn't affect their bottom line. So
well, it helps them out.
Yeah, they just put the trans colours on toothpaste. And, they get to do something that actually is meaningless, but makes them seem like the good guys.
What do you suppose, living in a reality now, because you've effectively lost your job, because you've spoken out against something that is fundamentally opposed to common sense?
Yeah.
So what does that say for the world that we're living in?
I don't know what it says for the.
It's the whole of the West. It ain't just.
Yeah,
it's
the Western-speaking world. I think basically what happened is a mad idea grew up in America, and because of the internet, it's just spread like a virus. Yeah. So I think it is the internet. What worries me is what AI does to all that, because we're going through a period of such acceleration that we can't deal with it as
Can't
human
take
beings.
it all in.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, you can't process it all.
Yeah, exactly. So when someone comes along and they point to a bloke with a beard and they say, "Oh, he's a lesbian," everyone goes, "Oh, okay, whatever."
Exactly that.
Because they're so confused and thrown by the whole madness of it.
How do we get common sense back into society?
Adults in the room. We need Keir Starmer yesterday said something like, he said 99% of women don't have a penis.
Yeah.
And that's because he refuses to be the adult in the room and
Right.
say, this is crazy.
Right.
So we need a few more adults in the room. We need to throw out all these people who don't really get what's going on and get people in who will, for instance, protect women when they're at meetings like this. I was hard on the police last week, but they've been brilliant here. And they've got to realise that all these women want to do is speak.
Sorry, just to interrupt, but with how much this is with how much the multinationals are deeply invested in this, and how much money it must generate, do you think? Because obviously these big companies, they all lobby politicians. Like you said about having adults in the room, and I would argue that with people that are incentivized by money, you're not going to get very far with these people that are career criminals. Career politicians. Well, it's easy slip of the tongue to make.
Well, the Lib Dems got 1.5 million from Ferring Pharmaceuticals, and they make puberty blockers. And the Lib Dems are all over this. They're like smearing women as Nazis, and they do all that sort of stuff. And they're just being enriched by giving children drugs that they also give to paedophiles to chemically castrate them.
And that's almost on an even par with people like Matt Hancock, who have got a vested interest in COVID-19 sorts of jabs and therapies. And
well, I don't really know anything. I'm not really into.
But this is what I mean about politicians. This is what I'm talking about. Is
sure.
Their integrity is questionable.
Yeah.
I don't believe we would have got to this stage in society if there wasn't a question of people's integrity in positions of power. How do we get to where the women need to assemble like this and shout about things like I'm saying fundamentally boils down to common sense?
Yeah. Well, one of the big problems is that the BBC and a few other organisations are putting a stranglehold on information about this. They don't interview feminists. They don't interview people like Kathleen Stock and Helen Joyce and all these women who've written brilliant books about the subject. And so everyone's got, the British public have a totally one-sided view of what's going on. So I genuinely think that, I know what you're saying about politicians, but I really think the big problem at the moment is with the media. The media is just sitting on all this.
I would suggest that Channel 4, BBC, ITV, they're all just offshoots of the government at this stage.
Again, this. I should probably wrap it up soon. Join my friends again. But
can I just ask how? Well, no, you said it was because you got cancelled, and that's how you've ended up down here.
Well, I got cancelled because I was interested in
Right.
this.
So how did?
I just saw women were being sent abuse online, and they were being called TERFs, and they were, and the word TERF allowed a lot of men to behave in the most disgusting way to women online. They were driving them offline. Women were losing their jobs. They were being taken up in front of work employment tribunal things. Right. Yeah. So all this was happening, and I thought, well, this is not on. And I genuinely thought that all my friends in the entertainment industry would be like, what's happening? We must help too. And no one did. No one helped. So I just ended up on my own. And when you're on your own, they can kind of pick you off, like snipers, sniper fire.
100%. Can I just say one thing? I thoroughly appreciate you taking the time.
No, I really appreciate you talking to me.
So you know how you said you weren't clued up so much on the COVID stuff?
Yeah.
But you can appreciate how the government-sanctioned media companies, basically what they are, in layman's terms, they withhold certain information, because they don't publicise this. So can I urge you a little bit to try and look independently on the COVID stuff, because you can see where we're going with this, and if you look at the sort of rules that was trying to get enacted as a result of that, it's all sort of heading to the same place. I heard someone else talking about the World Economic Forum earlier on with regarding to ladies, and I just think because you're obviously an intelligent man, you've obviously got a platform.
Yeah, the only thing I've just got enough bandwidth for this particular fight.
Yeah, right, I get that.
But I know what you mean.
Just to know where the government's at and what,
Sure.
do you know how deep it gets? Listen,
I'll look into it.
Thank you
Cheers,
very
man.
much.
Nice to talk to you.
Take care.